Hey friends, have you ever felt completely alone in your darkest moments? Have you been overwhelmed with such despair that you wondered if there was any guidance left for you? Does it feel like you're stumbling around in the dark without a guiding light? Today, we're going to dig deep into a segment from the book of Genesis that can profoundly change how you perceive those bleak times. All right, let's set the stage. We'll be looking at Genesis chapter 4, verses 17 to 26. This part of the Bible starts right after one of humanity's earliest and darkest acts, Cain killing his brother Abel. Cain, now a fugitive, begins a new life. But even amid this immense darkness in human history, we uncover the lesson that God's guidance and protection are never far from us. Let's think about that for a moment. How can a murderer and fugitive like Cain find any kind of redemption or direction in his life? Isn't it fascinating to see how God's plans and protections hover over even the most lost souls amongst us? As we dive into the text, we see Cain building a city and establishing a legacy through his descendants, an act of creation following destruction. It's easy to gloss over, but there's a profound meaning here. God had marked Cain for protection against any harm, and despite his sins, Cain was not to be abandoned. This signifies God's eternal watch over humanity, never abandoning us, even when we stray farthest. Cain's firstborn, Enoch, gives rise to a line of significant descendants mentioned in this part of Genesis. Think about this. From his lineage come advancements in civilization, livestock farming, music, and metalwork. It's a compelling pivot. Despite the shadow of Cain's actions, growth and innovation spring forth. What does this tell us? That even in our darkest moments, when we think we're beyond hope or redemption, new beginnings can still emerge. When you feel like you've hit rock bottom, remember that Cain too had his path. Was it a smooth or easy path? Absolutely not. But it was guided, protected, and purposeful. God's presence made sure that Cain's life, though marred by sin, still held potential for contribution and legacy. Consider the descendants of Cain. We see notable figures like Jabal, Jubal, and Tubal-Cain, each pioneering different crafts and arts. Despite the shadow of sin casting over their line, they brought forth essential elements that would shape human culture. Imagine that kind of transformation in your life. What if, through God's guidance, you turn your darkest moments into something constructive and impactful? In contemporary times, how often do we see individuals rising from adversity to contribute significantly to society? Similarly, Cain's lineage showcases this resilience. The Bible here speaks not only to those who have strayed, but to those who think their past negatives define their future. It's a powerful message that your tomorrow isn't shackled by your yesterdays. God's plan for you is more significant than any one misstep or series of missteps. Now, as we move to the latter part of our verses, we meet another critical figure, Seth, born to Adam and Eve as a replacement for the lost Abel. With Seth, a new line begins, representing hope and continuity of divine promise. Through his lineage, men began to call on the name of the Lord, signaling a return to spiritual awareness and worship. Think about it. Amidst the chaos and darkness, a new light emerges with Seth, marking a call to reconnect with God. Isn't this how life often unfolds for many of us? We navigate through trials, and then a new opportunity arises, directing us back to our spiritual center. By establishing Seth's line, the Bible emphasizes that no matter how dark the moments, a new beginning is always around the corner if we remain open to divine guidance. Seth's lineage leads us towards greater spiritual enlightenment and connection with God, showing that the journey from darkness to light is a consistent theme in our walk with faith. So how does this passage resonate with our lives today? Many of us endure hardships, failures, and moments of profound sadness. But if Cain, marked and sent away, can build a city, and if Seth can signify a new spiritual order, what does that say about our potential for overcoming adversity with God's guidance? Remember, friends, this passage invites us to lean into God's enduring promise of protection and guidance, no matter how far we've wandered. Reflect on your own lives. Are there places within you where you need God's guiding light? Are there parts of your story that you believe are too marred by mistakes or pain to be redeemed? This sermon calls out to anyone who feels lost or disconnected. It's a reminder that divine protection and purpose are not reserved for the pristine, but are profoundly active, in our messiest moments. God's promise to Cain that he wouldn't be killed speaks to an assurance that God's watchful presence doesn't abandon us, even when we fall. As we wrap up today's reflection, consider this. What new beginnings can you carve out from your present struggles? How can you allow God's guidance to lead you from darkness to light? Let today's lessons from Genesis inspire you to trust in God's path for you, no matter how dim your current situation may seem. I encourage you to leave a comment if you believe in divine transformation, saying, "I believe and wait," affirming your faith in the divine plan. Next week, we'll delve into Genesis chapter 5, exploring further into God's promises and the continuity of divine guidance through generations. Stay tuned, my friends. It's going to be a journey you won't want to miss. Remember, even in our darkest hours, God's light is never far away. Embrace His guidance and walk confidently towards your new beginnings. See you in the next video.